A new report suggests Alberta taxpayers could soon be on the hook for up to $70 billion to cover the costs of cleaning up abandoned oil and gas wells. A group of landowners and energy experts examined studies by the Alberta Energy Regulator. The group says the records show the problem of toxins from orphan wells leaking into farmland and waterways is bigger than previously thought.
Well, it's the regulator's responsibility to hold the industry accountable for its legal obligation to clean up. And because the regulator has never enforced cleanup on any meaningful timescale, the problem has festered and grown and leaves us in the situation we find ourselves today. The government has to commit to holding industry accountable. That's the social contract. Every license comes with a legal obligation to return that site to its original state. It's only our failure to hold them accountable. They've made plenty of profit off of these wells, but they never set aside the money for the cleanup. If we are unable to hold them to their responsibilities, it is going to fall to taxpayers.
The people who released the report are hoping it will help get campaigning politicians to talk about the issue. This is where we bring in Global News Radio's Danielle Smith from 770 CHQR to continue this conversation. You're diving a little bit deeper into this one on your show today.
Yep, and it's a big problem. And I'm glad that they've done this report because I have been following this for a number of years and I've always contended that the official number of orphan wells is way lower than the entire liability that we face. Because part of what happens is that there's a process that you go through before the Orphan Well Fund will take on a well for remediation. And there's also a pretty tiny amount of money that they have to be able to do it. What they've quantified is the fact that we have a number of suspended wells. So these are wells that have been inactive, sometimes for decades, that will ultimately need to be remediated. But it's in the interest of the oil company and in the interest of the landowner to just keep it in this kind of limbo, because part of what happens is that it's easier for the energy company to pay an annual lease and avoid what could be massive cleanup costs. Plus the landowner, if they're getting regular payments, don't mind having the money. The real problem, though, is some of these wells can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up. They've now quantified the number of suspended wells at 100,000. And so it may well be some of them that you could go back to with new technology and be able to make them productive again. But if not, what's the solution? We are in a position now where, quite rightly, we now have this liability. Nobody set aside enough money to pay for it. We're at a low ebb in the industry. The industry is struggling. Adding more costs on top of it could push them into bankruptcy, which creates an even more urgent problem for taxpayers to deal with. So we're going to try to scope out the nature of the problem today, but also see what some of the solutions might be on a go forward to try to find the right balance, because we've got essentially a legacy problem to clean up that's 60 and 70 years old.
Yeah, it's a big one for sure. Much more on Danielle's show starting at 9:30 today. Thanks, Danielle.
Thank you.